Hello everyone and welcome to Creativity Unleashed. This is part 6, and in this video we are going to be completing the assembly of the CNC machine.
So here you can see we have all of the new painted components laying out. The gantry supports, the gantry, the X-axis motor holder, the rack and pinion drive systems from Avid CNC. We also have the Z-axis system, and we're just starting on putting back in the rack and pinion mounts for the rack. And here we're attaching the linear rails and the gantry supports back in and getting the tape peeled off of the circulating linear rails. Those worked out really well. I'm very happy that I decided to install linear rails. And I also really like the rack and pinion drive systems. They seem like a really good choice. Definitely probably not as necessary for plasma cutting, since there's not really much resistance on the system, so definitely a better choice for router systems than probably necessary for plasma. But it was a good transition that was spring-loaded and all and easy to work with for installing the motors. As you can see, we get the Z-axis reinstalled. Pretty straightforward now that everything has been fitted and worked. So when installing the gear rack, it is important to make sure, especially where you're joining segments of track together of the rack, that the gear meshes in the same place so that there isn't some kind of a skip or movement while the motor goes over it. And so the way to achieve that is to just put another piece of the rack underneath it, clamp it down so that all the teeth interlock together, and that ensures that the spacing is set the same through the joint. So here we're setting up the X-axis, which I was previously confused and thought it was the Y-axis, so quite an awkward blonde moment there. And we're of course just reinstalling the wire management trough. I purchased the E-chain, so the plastic wire management chain, on eBay that you can see here. And that wasn't too terribly expensive and works out really well. Of course, some people like pretty much hang bungees from the ceiling or other things of that nature, but I really like how the E-chain works out. I would definitely take this over a bungee on the ceiling. We're now attaching the X-axis motor, which previously I had it confused with the Y, but I figured that out. You see there, you can see the clearance between the motor and the rack mounting pieces, so you have to ensure that there's sufficient clearance, which all of that worked out really well. And we're just there tensioning the spring. You have to get quite a bit of tension so it doesn't skip, but it is a nice kind of safety if you don't have a lot of tension while you're getting things configured. If something goes wrong, it bumps into something, it can just kind of skip or jump on the teeth, which is of course not the best for the teeth, but it's probably better than locking the motor up and causing the servo driver to go into fault. So these of course are NEMA 23 servo motors. They're closed loop and they have an 8mm shaft. I think they're around 3 newtons of force if I remember correctly, and they're relatively economical. You can find these on AliExpress or eBay for not much more than about $100 and some each. Vary quite a bit between the manufacturers and where you get them. So far, out of the box, one of them, the servo driver didn't work, so I had to purchase another one. So definitely quality control on these Chinese components isn't the best, so you're likely to spend more time figuring things out. And I of course haven't extensively ran the machine, so I don't know how well they will hold up in the long run, but they seem to be alright so far, other than that. After drilling the mounting holes for the E-chain, it was quite difficult to fit our finger in to hold the nut to tighten them down. We see doing that on the other side.
myself.
So this pretty much wraps up the assembly of all the components we'd built so far, and we're basically just getting started now on all of the wiring. So the wiring and electronics is probably the part I know least about, and I definitely have made some mistakes, so I'll go over some of the things that I've learned. I put limit switches on the 4 corners. Technically, you only need them on the 3 corners. On the x-axis that I was confused and thought was the y, I put 2, which is fine. But I used 2 conductor shielded wire, so the shielding's great, but I should have used 3 conductor wire because the controller I have only works with, I believe it is P and P proximity switches. And of course, it's better to have normally closed proximity switches, to my understanding. And I'm having trouble where the switches that I have right now, the software doesn't, after it bumps them, doesn't want to back away far enough from the switches, and that's causing homing issues for the calibration. But we did use really good quality CNC wire that's meant for the continuous movement. I had purchased this on AliExpress, and it even has like strings in it and like aluminum foil wrapped around it and then braided wire around that. Alright, so we've got all of the wires ran to all of the limit switches and all of the motors. They're into the thing here, and now we have them all labeled what they are, but they're not connected to anything yet. But we have everything ran to where the different motor locations are. So I guess now we're ready to do a lot more soldering and connections, and then later some programming. So I ended up purchasing multiple different soldering irons in different wattages, depending for what I was soldering. And I also found it really helpful to have really thin solder for especially like small electronics. It's pretty common to find thicker solder, and you don't always find the really, really thin solder just everywhere, at least my experience. And so we found that the really thin solder worked better for most everything. And of course, having the shrink tubing is really helpful to ensure that everything comes out neat and nice, and shouldn't. Drilling some holes with the magnetic drill for the different wire connecting things helps keep them protected from sharp edges and also ties them down so they don't get pulled out of place. The soldering here is very difficult. It definitely requires quite a bit of patience, and it helps to definitely have 2 people. It would be very difficult to solder these by yourself. I'm sure experienced people could probably end up doing that, but having 2 people definitely makes the job go a lot faster. But even so, we spent several days soldering, and it's quite tedious. So I decided to use the GX series connectors, which are often used in aviation, medical equipment, stage equipment. This allows it to be able to be interchangeable, to troubleshoot better if you have a problem with a motor and need to switch it out. You could definitely disconnect it pretty easily. The units come in different widths, so you can get like GX20 or GX16. And between those, you can purchase them in different pin configurations, the amount of pins they have. And of course, you need to check the wire gauge that those pins can work with. And they are very finicky and difficult to solder. This was our first time really working with those connectors, but it does leave a really nice, neat, clean result that's pretty easy to work with once it's actually
Moving. X-axis. Y. Z.
I can imagine some of you would like me to go over more of the wiring and configuration and the software, as well as just where everything gets connected and all. But since I'm still figuring some of that out, I am going to leave that for the next video. So just adding the slats back in. Of course, once the machine is running, I could definitely later cut my own slats with a different design if necessary. Another consideration that I'm planning to add to the table is some rollers of some sort to help get material on and off of the table. It would be really nice to have a overhead crane set up with a really powerful magnet, but that could be pretty expensive, especially for the magnet, but could work really well if I was cutting ferrous metals. Right here I'm just gluing together the PVC parts with a valve for the drain on the water pan of the table. And so we'll just put some Teflon on the threaded nipple here, and we'll thread in the PVC valve. I left the one end with no connection simply because I'll probably later want to put a hose connector on there so that I can run a hose out to the drain.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the assembly of part 6. In part 7, we will be running the machine and doing the cutting and other operations, so I'll see you there.